So good morning. I'm Devin Zitelman with Shear Partners. We are here for the next episode of BioBlast. I am with Ben Doranz, the Chief Executive Officer with Integral Molecular, a Philadelphia grown biotech company. Ben, thanks for joining us today.
All right, good to be here, Devin.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to the conversation. And obviously, you all have been growing and scaling rapidly in U City. You have roots in Philadelphia. And, for those less familiar, can you give us some additional background just on your company and your journey?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Ben Doranz, the CEO of Integral Molecular. We've been in Philadelphia region since we started in 2001, so over 20 years. And we develop, we innovate, we commercialize transformative technologies. We take technologies out of the university, originally, University of Pennsylvania. We've developed our own technologies now. We've improved upon them, and we deliver them to pharmaceutical companies, biotech companies, research labs across the country. We have over 600 customers and hundreds of publications using our technologies. And we're excited because we see our technologies get put to use to develop new drugs, new vaccines, and new scientific products.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible platform. And obviously, you all have done a variety of structures with pharma, with sort of scaling startup companies, and certainly something that, is making an impact when you think about patient care and health delivery systems. But, your story, I think, is unique because, you sort of took this technology or started really molecular out of Wharton Business School. You had a competition that you won, and then you went and solicited some support from the National Institutes of Health, and Integral Molecular was born. So really, when you think about the arc of your professional journey, how you got started, some of the challenges that you had to overcome, can you share any learnings or examples and sort of take us through that trajectory to where you are today?
Yeah, sure. It's some people say an overnight 20-year success story. It happens slowly, but we're really excited to be where we are today. I actually came to Philadelphia out of college. It was my first job at Wistar and as a research technician, and worked with some amazing scientists. They were really inspiring. I worked there for a couple of years and realized that that's what I want to do. I want to ask those questions. I want to develop those technologies. I want to see things, scientific advances commercialized and transformed into products that help human health. So I went back to graduate school at Penn, and I was fortunate to be involved in some exciting research at the time, the discovery of HIV coreceptors, how the virus gets into cells. And that led to kind of some exposure on the commercial side because that became the basis for some drugs that were developed and other strategies for killing HIV virus. Which led me to walk into the tech transfer office one day at Penn and say, what do you do here? And that got me interested in business. And I ended up going after graduate school, after I got my Ph.D., I went back to school at Wharton and got my MBA. And that led me down a road of understanding how to take science and not just discover new technologies and ask questions, but how to transform that into commercial technologies that are of value to someone. Research papers are great, and we still publish a lot of research papers, but we want those papers, those science to have an impact on biomedical science, on research, on patients, on the community, on the world. We want that to have an impact in some way. And I realized in science, you have to do more than make the discovery. You have to take that and transform it, commercialize it, usually in some way, to have that impact. So I went to Wharton, and we ended up winning the business plan competition there, and Integral Molecular was born from there.
Yeah, and the rest is history, right? 20 years in the making. But I want to kind of come back to that because I think one particular notion and something that you mentioned is going from kind of scientist to maybe chief scientist, and then thinking about product market fit, thinking about the pathway to commercialization. There's obviously certainly many milestones and hurdles that you have to overcome. And so making that transition obviously is something that is sometimes difficult for folks that are not prone or exposed to business. And so, what drove you to understand the business side and motivate you there? But then also, what would you kind of lend in terms of advice to scientists that are trying to make the jump to, chief executive officer or running operations or supporting business development or marketing?
Yeah, there's a lot there to take science and move it to a commercial product. Probably the key thing for most people, and certainly for me, is to surround yourself with really good people. You have to have mentors, advisors, employees, coworkers, peers, everyone surrounding you that can do more than you can. There's only so much that one person can do or knows or is capable of doing or their expertise. But if you surround yourself with people who know more than you do and can do more than you can, you're unstoppable. The best part of my job is sitting in a room with a bunch of my coworkers and coming up with ideas to solve problems. And when you put us in a room together, we can solve anything. We come out of that room with 10 ideas, and some of them are bad, some of them are good, and most of the time something works. So, anyone thinking about making that transition from science to business, you don't need to know everything. But if you put yourself on a team with other people that know other aspects of commercialization, of business, different aspects of science, that's an unstoppable team.
Yeah, absolutely. And we think about, obviously ecosystems, life science and biotech ecosystems, just being as strong as its shortest pillar, right? And so surrounding yourself with a great team and a great C-suite, and obviously you all in molecular have continued to scale, taking on more space in New City in the last couple of years and leading that expansion. But your team's about 100 folks now, technical talent, a variety of business development talent, and then kind of the advisory team. And so, for you as a leader, obviously managing a large team, what are your guiding principles as a leader, as a manager, and then more importantly, how do you mitigate risks?
Yeah, it's a great question, especially about risk, because I think a lot of people think about opportunities and markets, and you should. The customer always has to come first, but you have to also think about risk a lot, particularly taking calculated risks. There's always risks in technology and legal and business, competition, the markets, the economy, it goes on. And you have to think about all of those things. But if you put them all together and make a decision where you have a good shot at making something happen, you may not win every time, but most of the time you're going to have a win. So we think about risks a lot. We think about, again, the right people. You get the right people in the room, and no matter those risks, you make the right decisions. But as long as you have a good discussion with the right people in the room about the risks, about the potential, about the market, understanding the customer, you'll come out of that room making good decisions about what products to launch, how to price it, how to market it, how to position it relative to competition, how to grow the company without overextending yourself. So, all those things go into it.
Yeah, I mean, biotech obviously is a kind of a game of probabilities, right? I mean, to go from developing a technology through clinicals to commercialization, generating revenue is a long road.
Yeah.
And so, 20 years in the grand scheme of molecular and your career might, seem like a long time to folks, but really that's sort of on average in a sense, thinking about the length of time it takes for technologies or commercialization efforts, 10 to 12 years, and then everything that happens before that. And so, obviously it's important to you all. And I think within your mission statement, sort of one of the first sentences or first words really that says, we are a Philadelphia grown biotech company. And, obviously you've been very intentional to include this, and one element of the ecosystem, I think that is often overlooked, and they've done a really good job of this, I think, in Boston and Massachusetts in particular, is really support for the K through 12, STEM education. And that helps in a lot of ways. Obviously, you're bringing young folks up in that environment, thinking about science as a career path. Obviously, in these educated sort of hubs or population centers, parents want to push their kids, or maybe not push is the right word, but support their kids in sort of these STEM career tracks. And so you all have done a lot in West Philadelphia as a company, as an individual, running outreach and educational training initiatives for students. And so what does it mean to be part of the sort of greater Philadelphia scientific community? And how have you seen it evolve?
Yes, that's a great question. And it's exactly right. We're pretty intentional about including ourselves in the Philadelphia community because we would not exist without being in Philadelphia. There's lots of places theoretically you can start, but in practice, Philadelphia has been so supportive. The Science Center, where we're located, not just our landlord, but providing support along the way. Wistar with the Workforce Development Program, which is part of that educational component. Firsthand, which is the K through 12 educational component that's giving back to the community, but it's creating the next generation of scientists. The Drexel Co-op program, is part of that as well. Amazing program where kids come out of college with not just a degree, but a real world experience. And that becomes the next generation of scientists in the Philadelphia community, including at Integral Molecular. But we've had so much support from the community along the way. I think it's really important that we are bringing everyone along. As we succeed, as we grow, it's our obligation to make sure that everyone around us is growing as well to the extent possible. And so our team, as part of our values, we want to see everyone succeed. It doesn't have to be win-lose. It's not that kind of game. We can all win. And if we grow the Philadelphia community, we're one part of it, but if everyone grows, we're all going to be better. When we started in 2001 at the Science Center, literally where I'm sitting now was a parking lot. Everything around me was a parking lot. There was nothing but parking lots and no restaurants and, a few office buildings. And someone said, actually, Jill Felix, the CEO of the Science Center at the time, said, "Hey, why don't we create a biotech incubator here?" and she did. And that was kind of the start of a new generation of biotech companies starting in this area. I was fortunate enough to be able to help build that incubator at the Science Center and then become a tenant of the Science Center, including other companies that started here and grew. But that was kind of the seed that's led to another incubator opening, and then another, and more space for growing companies. And now you have companies, right in downtown Philadelphia, as well as the surrounding suburbs, but right in downtown Philadelphia that have tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of square feet of lab space. And you've got Pennovation and the Curtis Center and CIC and BioLabs, all of this ecosystem that's been building to support entrepreneurs, investors, biotech companies as they grow, and other spinouts from the universities and other entrepreneurs from around the area. The Philadelphia region has always had great pharmaceutical companies, and they still do. But they've maybe before the 2000s, they really never had the ecosystem to support spinouts, companies coming out of those pharmaceutical companies, coming out of the universities, certainly not in the way they do today. But now if you have an idea or just want to join a team, you don't have to have an idea, want to license technology at a Penn, at a Jefferson, you can walk into a tech transfer office and not only can you walk out with an idea, an invention, a patent, to develop into a commercial product, but you can walk out with support to do that, space to do that, connections to funding to do that, and connections to people to get the right people on your team to build that company. So the ecosystem has really grown. It's gratifying to be a small part of that ourselves, but to see it grow from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important that you mentioned, the early stage incubation of companies and the opportunities that come with that, because when you talk about the next generation of scientists, and certainly with some of the, the pioneering efforts of what the future holds in biotech and research and drug discovery, when you think about some of the efficiencies and productivity gains that occur with, some of the bioconvergences that are taking place with high tech. And that could be preclinical model development, molecular model development. And so, I think folks are generally, broadly concerned with, maybe artificial machine learning technologies replacing, career gains. And I think if anything, what that's going to enable us to do is just become more rapid in terms of the pace of discovery. And so when you think about the next generation of scientists and you think about the future of Philadelphia, but really more broadly, the life science sector, what gets you most excited about the future? And where do you think we are in 20, 30, 50 years from now?
Yeah, that's a broad question, but technology keeps evolving. If you think about where biotechnology or computing, was 20, 30 years ago, and you extrapolate that to think about where we will be in 20, 30 years from now, it's it's almost hard to imagine, but people here are imagining it, not just us, but people around us. Drew Weissman is in our building on the fourth floor, inventing the next generation of therapeutics and mRNA. Carl June at Penn, and actually also in this building, is inventing the next generation of CAR T. Spark Therapeutics, our next door neighbor, is inventing the next generation of gene therapy. So we're all envisioning what the next generation of technology should be. For us, it's always about listening to the market, listening to customers, and watching the technology. Sometimes we're developing the technologies. Sometimes other companies are developing the technologies, and we build on the successes of each other. But you can see it evolving to the point where we can control individual cells in the human body that go awry, like cancer, or that need repair, like gene therapy, cystic fibrosis, or controlling autoimmune disease with individual molecules that specifically target the Treg cells that need repair or modulation in the human body. So we're all envisioning these technology improvements, getting it to that point. You can have the vision. That's kind of the first step of what you want to do. I want to invent a time machine, but you also have to have a means to get there. And the exciting thing about where we're at as a company ourselves, and also just the industry, is that we not only have the vision, but we have the means to do it. We're not asking to build a time machine. We're not asking to break the laws of physics or biology in this case. We understand the laws of biology, and that'll continue to improve. We'll continue to understand even more. But even where we're at today, we can envision controlling cells to cure cancer, not just treat cancer, but envision actual cures, which are starting to happen, and beyond treatments like that.
Yeah, no, it's an incredible journey. And I think folks are generally optimistic about the future. And so, we are obviously working with BioBuzz towards the annual awards, and you all, and you in particular, have been nominated as a finalist. And so just wanted to know what it means to you, what it means to your company and team to be, recognized in that capacity.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously an honor for myself, but I would say also for, all my, employees at the company. They're the ones that I represent. They're the ones that have the innovation, the quality, the scientific drive to ask and answer those questions. They represent the best and the brightest in the Philadelphia region in the scientific community, and I'm incredibly proud to be able to work with them. I represent them as the CEO, but this award kind of reflects them, not just me, but the entire company of people here.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And obviously we're really excited to celebrate that with you, with Life Science Cares in Philadelphia at the Curtis. And so, we really appreciate your time and insights, Ben. You're doing a tremendous job, not only with obviously Integral Molecular, but just your impact on the community itself, and sort of the dedication that you have to Philadelphia is motivating. And we're just all grateful for having you here today and sharing some of your insights.
No, thanks, Devin. Really appreciate it. As I said, us being nominated or being a finalist, means nothing if other people can't succeed as well. We want to succeed, but we want to bring everyone else along with us. And so, thank you for talking today, for the nomination, and hopefully that helps the entire region grow.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Ben, until next time, we appreciate you. Ben Doranz, Executive Officer of Integral Molecular. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Devin.